We're back with the Screen Team on today's Talk 930 KWOC. The show is all brought to you by Whitworth Gift Chest Jewelers, where Walmart is next door to us. Valentine's Day is coming up very, very soon. Remember to get your loved one something nice from Whitworth Gift Chest Jewelers. Also, we got Fearless Social and Poplar Bluff Drywall. We are reviewing a trilogy in its entirety for the first time, and we're taking on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We just got done taking care of Fellowship of the Ring. We're going to finish up with Two Towers and then Return of the King. Let's start with Two Towers. This is the second segment of the story. Mm-hmm. And continues on with Bilbo and Sam and the rest of the crew.
Frodo and Sam.
What did I say? Bilbo and Sam? Man, I am doing so awesome this show. Wow, I'm so glad Sabrina's not here. But anyway, you got Sam and Frodo. They're trying to destroy the ring at Mount Doom. You have the rest of the crew trying to save Merry and Pippin. And we meet some new characters in this particular segment as well. We meet more of the human race, or the
Rohan and
the
Gondor.
Rohan folks. This is probably your least favorite. I know it was my least favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah, it is. I think it's just because it's the middle. It's the middle. The middle movie is usually the one that it's like they kind of try to cram in something they left out of the first one, and then they try to cram something in at the end that they should have put in the last one because. I mean, The Return of the King is the longest of the three, and it's like 3 hours long. And I mean, and that was condensed. So
yeah, no kidding. So is the book like the movie? Is it stretched out in 3 different segments?
The book, it's hard. The books are hard to follow because they use the language of, I mean, there's actual, I mean, when you see the subtitles on the movies, like that they speak in Elvish or whatever, and then they speak in, the language of Mordor and all these different languages. They actually use those in the book. So sometimes it's really hard to follow when you're reading because you don't know what they're saying. So, and they use a lot of older language because these books are, I mean, Tolkien wrote them, I don't even know when, years and years and years ago. So, I mean, the language is different just because of that in itself. It's an older, it's like kind of like the King James Bible, Yeah. It's like just the wording is just a whole lot different than what we speak today.
So I think a lot of people like this particular film because it shows off, what's his name, Smeagol.
Yes.
Probably the most out of all 3 movies.
Yes.
Talk about him a little bit.
Smeagol he's Gollum is what most people remember his name as. Because that's the sound he makes because he's constantly, it's like he has pneumonia all the time. He's constantly coughing. But he used to be one of the river folk, kind of. I mean, the movie says and the book says not unlike a hobbit. Like he was like maybe similar to a hobbit. He was one of the little people, and he was corrupted by the ring. It made him kill his best friend.
Yeah. And
after he did that, he became so obsessed with it that he went into hiding, probably out of shame, guilt, whatever, because he killed his friend, and he forgot everything in his obsession. Like he isolated himself from everyone and everything, and he just like he speaks in third person in all of the movies in both movies, the last 2 movies. He calls himself by his own name and speaks. He like has a person. It's like he has this personality disorder.
Yeah, I mean the ring made him have multiple personalities.
Yes, it's almost like there's still good in him, which is it's kind of in throughout the movies. That's kind of his. Frodo is hoping to see. He looks for the good in Smeagol because he wants to know. He tells Sam, because Sam doesn't trust him at all, thinks he's a villain, and Frodo says, "I have to think he can come back because he's afraid that he's going to become as taken under with the ring as what Smeagol is." But I think that there is. I mean, for the character, like you see, there's good in him because he tries to change. He tries to form a relationship with Master, is what he calls Frodo, and because he says he'll serve whoever has the ring.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the ring is his obsession, and that's all he really wants from the get-go. And I mean, this second movie is he is the guide for Frodo and Sam to take them to Mordor because he's been there, because they caught him and tortured him to find where the ring was, and he knows where he has to go. And they figure they don't have a choice but to trust him if they want to get there before, Sauron takes over everything else. So, I mean, their story is them overcoming all these hardships and these struggles to get to this mountain so that they can just get rid of it. They just want to be rid of it and be done with it. But also in this movie, I mean, Frodo, he loses Gandalf, the wizard. He loses him in the end of the Fellowship, but in this movie, they replay that part at the beginning of this movie. And I think that's a huge thing because that's the person that Frodo, it's his biggest loss ever because that's the person he looked to the most. He loved Gandalf. And I think that puts him more into a despair at this part of the movie, and the only one that can keep him from that is Sam.
Yeah.
Because Sam is the one that always looks on the bright side, always has the encouraging thing to say, and even in the actual text of the movie, he actually says that. He's like, nothing ever dampens your spirits, does it, Sam? And Sam says, well, don't miss those rain clouds, might,
Yeah.
But, I mean, the relationships they're pretty complex for a cinema movie.
You've mentioned the Gollum segment of this story. That's a huge part of this film.
Yes.
Another huge part is the issues going on with Rohan, and you've got Saruman, the White, who was played by Christopher Lee, who, by the way, he was a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings books. And he was a good friend of Tolkien, from what I understand, and he wanted to play Gandalf the Grey, but they were like, "No, dude, you're too evil for that. You go ahead and play Saruman."
Yes.
So he's like, "All right, I just want to be in the film." So So anyway, you've got this story where Saruman the White is controlling the King of Rohan, and they.
Theoden.
Theoden, yes, that's his name. Man, how come they couldn't have names like Bob or Dave, Steve? Making it a lot easier. That's where those names would have been. But anyway, you've got a big battle of Helm's Deep at the very end of this film with the folks of Rohan and the evil forces of Middle Earth right now.
Mordor, yeah.
That was another big element of this particular story. That's all I got. You got anything else with Two Towers?
Well, I do know I don't mean to make this religious at all, but there are people that say, like, the end of the movie when Gandalf goes away, he goes away to find the Rohirrim, which is all the exiled riders of Rohan that he needs to come and help them to win this battle. And he tells Aragorn, he says, he tells him, he's like, you have to make the forces hold. They have to hold. And he's like, on the fifth day, look to the east. Yeah. He's like, and so he basically saying, I'll be there. Well, then when he comes with, like, he holds up his staff or whatever, and all this light spills down and it blinds them, and then they overrun the evil or whatever. And I know that a lot of Christian circles and people say it's because Tolkien was a Christian, and they parallel that with things that, like, the Bible foretells and stuff like that. And that's just another interesting thing that you can, like, look up on your own to read about, because that's something I've researched a little bit too. And it's really interesting if you look at the parallels that it draws. Because, I mean, Hollywood's always drawn a lot of parallels, but I think that this was an underlying one because Hollywood doesn't normally go for the Christian themed stuff. It just does what it does.
True that.
But that was something Tolkien rolled in there that was like that, and it's just something interesting to research if you are into this trilogy.
It's called Two Towers. Coming up next, we'll finish up our trilogy talk with Return of the King. It's next on Today's Talk 930 KWOC.